put it somewhere else. So this works pretty good. Looks a little more professional radio station too. Anyway, a couple of things I've been getting sitting out for a while. Was hoping more would show up, but as it was, well, I guess we're going with this. So more of just questioning the very premise of the entire thing. Let's start off with this one here. Whoops. Another case of Rachel Carrington kind of doing some mining here to think, oh, this was also, yeah, this has really been known for a while. Part of the thoughts were the Romulans were supposed to be the big bad in Star Trek when they first came up with them, but it's like, probably from Bob Justman, the keeper of the budget. Those Vulcaneers cost quite a bit back in '66, and you could afford it for Leonard Nimoy week after week. On a regular basis, they get expensive rather quickly because you got to, especially, you can't just pull them off the rack. You got to specially mold each one to the actor, or for it to blend properly. And that's materials and stuff, and so yeah, Romulans on a regular basis, or even semi-regular basis, like more than a couple times every few years. It's like, no, that's like, and Vulcans too. It's like there's a reason why in a mock time you didn't see many ears on display there. You had Spock, you had T'Pau, you had T'Pring, you had Ston, and then the guy with the axe. The rest of them are all wearing those helmets. Same thing on Balance of Terror. Besides Spock, you had two of the guys with the ears. Everyone else had those stupid helmets, so they didn't have to do ears. And it's also why the Klingons became the big bad, because all you do with the Klingons is make them look all swarthy and give them the Fu Manchu mustaches, and there you go. So it's also how much technology come along they're able to do Worf on it, because he'd have been a budget buster back in the day, that's for sure. But yeah, it's like this one is like, okay, tell me something I didn't know, Rach. Yeah, but this one, a little more concerning in the fact of, yeah, somehow, now who did this here exactly? Like, some poll over there. It's like, Denny Geek. They came to the conclusion that Archer was the worst captain in all of Star Trek. This is in a time when Michael Burnham exists, okay, and as a character. How on God's green earth can you possibly justify Archer being worse when you have this idiot running around? The very personification of the Mary Sue. And it's like, really? This person started a war with the Klingons, got her captain killed. Somehow was the best at everything. Oh my God, you're so wonderful, Michael Burnham. We're going to abandon everything and follow you to the 33rd century. It's like, no, that's just. Sonequa Martin Green apparently is fine as a supporting character, but as a lead, she hasn't got the chops. Okay, she's not a lead actress. Certainly not the lead of a show. Okay, she's the best a character and a support actress, but like, no, don't put her in charge. But it's like, but yeah, it's like no matter what issues have with Archer as a character, he never committed a mutiny and was never held responsible for the death of his captain, like he can with Star Trek Discovery's leading woman, Michael Burnham. Her character was emotionless, uninteresting, and objectively untrustworthy in the early seasons. She always thought she knew better and quite literally caused thousands? Try billions. She caused death on planetary scales because of that damn war. Okay? She should have been put under the stockade. Never mind, I mean, you can actually defend Archer in the fact that they were making it up as it went along. There really hadn't been a lot of prototypes for Starship captains at that point. Okay? I think I just closed the wrong window. Yeah, there we go. Too many tabs. What did I just close? But no, never, no. Let's see. So on the home front, the JJ Prize / Astral Princess managed to get some work done. About 4 kettles of boiling water. I managed to get the secondary hull. It needs a little more work to go, but it's closer than it was. Almost into proper shape. The primary upper surface of the primary hull is at least bent right the way. So that attaching the bridge, come on, here you go. Yeah, I was able to actually get something of upper surface going, so it's no longer indented here. And gluing that on there helps a bit. It comes out. There we go. Yeah, there. Saying I'm the pains like I said, I'm the one that I really, just don't really like calling it Star Trek Discovery because it's not Star Trek. It's just Discovery. It's its own thing, masquerading as Star Trek. They've got those marching band uniforms and ships that run on magic mushrooms. It's really. I only have one piece of Star Trek Discovery merchandise, and that is that pizza cutter. Because it's just an example that, yeah, they turned this rather iconic design into a pizza cutter. And that one I was from ThinkGeek. They did, they did an Enterprise pizza cutter. They did, destroy, but the notable Discovery pizza cutter, they didn't have to distort a damn thing. It is practically screen accurate. But yeah, I'm gonna have to try a few more kettles of boiling water to really get the secondary hull into proper shape with this. But I got it a lot closer than it was. So apparently, let's see, another genre news. They're making the rounds that Ncuti Gatwa is quitting Doctor Who because it's not progressing well, and Disney, he doesn't want to be tied down to it. He has job offers in Hollywood that he wants to get to. Like, okay, fine. And the response has been, let's say, kind of brutal because they keep jamming in the message every time they get. I think this is kind of the idiocy that drove Stephen Moffat screaming into the night when they started monkeying around with his writing. It's like, I've heard said the Stephen Moffat's episodes of this current run have been the best ones, which is damning with faint praise because it's like they're not exactly that great, but the rest of it has been utter dribble. But it's like the ratings are the worst in the entire history of the franchise. Sylvester McCoy was getting better numbers than what Ncuti's getting. And they put the show on ice for those numbers. So what do you think is going to happen now? Yeah. And Disney is balking at bankrolling another season of this stuff. That's why there's been no decision yet about whether or not there'll be another season of Doctor Who. Yeah. And Ncuti's saying, I'm not waiting around for this shit. I'm out of here. Yeah. And they're saying like because they've shortened the season so much, his will be the shortest Doctor tenure since Christopher Eccleston. And Eccleston didn't leave because he had other offers waiting the thing. He left for a person, and he's been a little more blunt lately about why he left. Because he's doing Big Finish audios, He just did one with Billy Piper. He loves it. He loves doing the character. He's fine with it. Let's do it. It's Russell T Davies and and the production staff he's got a problem with. In fact, he said, what would it take for him to get back? Fire Russell T Davies, fire Julie Trantner, so he's just clean house. Then I'll consider it. I mean, he wouldn't. It's probably a market in favor that he at least let Stephen Moffat pitch the idea for bringing him back for the 60th. He at least let him talk. Okay, he gave him the courtesy of hearing the pitch first, but still wasn't good enough. And even though everyone he had a problem with had left by that point, because Julie had left with Russell and it was Stephen Moffat's crew. But I imagine it's like, do I want? No, that thing was kind of too soon, because it wasn't just RTD and all them, but it's also the BBC itself. He's still got a big grudge with them, because in the early discussion about is he going to leave after the first season, and they invented quotes for him saying that he's tired or whatever. I said, I didn't say that. And not only did I not say that, that puts an impression to anybody I might be trying to get on with for a job that I'm not reliable. And that, so that's why, he's got a very big grudge against the BBC itself for putting this stuff out, or at least authorizing it. So, but he's the convention said, for Big Finish though, and for conventions, he's there because he's just as big a geek as the rest of us. I mean, he wasn't a big Doctor Who fan growing up. He would tune in for Dalek episodes or regenerations, but he was a bigger Star Trek fan. Because he's one of those where the production standards would throw him out of the story. If the set wobbled a bit, that just took him out of it. And again, on that score, I'd go with Colin Baker. No, that's not part of the charm. That's the stuff you ignored because you liked the story so much. You didn't, it wasn't a charming kitchen thing. No, it's like, you put up with it. Yeah, okay, Test, you're there. That you all waffen? You are coming through? Yes, we're into the thing where we can go anywhere story-wise. So, but going through a few things been quite a few stories though about Ncuti Gatwa's moving. He's heading for the hills, and yes, the crew has been laid off because they've wrapped season 2 a while ago. They're not in production. They don't know if they're going to be in production. They've already shot Ncuti's regeneration scene, but it's done in such a way that it could be inserted anywhere. So it's like, maybe he'll come back, maybe he won't. Either way, they're covered. I think they decided they want to do that as an insurance policy type of thing. It's like, make sure we got the regeneration scene. So I think it was kind of, learning the lesson back when they did show Colin Baker the exit door of the TARDIS, but then had the gall to, fired him over the phone. That's come up. Well, yeah, they fired him, but then wanted him to come back to do his regeneration. And his response wasn't exactly, let's just say, family friendly. Kind of told the no uncertain what they can do with their regeneration. So you get fired, it's nothing to no. All right, we're not going to go there. Come on. I like to remind folks, this is a fairly Zionist, channel here. So it's like, no, we're not going the anti-Semitic stuff. I'll grant there are some greedy bastards on there, but what their religious affiliation is rather irrelevant. Okay. You can just leave it at greedy bastards and not have to go into the anti-Semitic shit, okay? Clean a few things up here. All right. And again, it's not the Jewish. It's a certain globalist types that are pushing these agendas, and not so much they agree in the agendas, it's that it causes all kinds of chaos, and where there's chaos, there's opportunity to take over. That's what they do. I'm picking up more followers. Some of them, I'm not sure what's going on here. Do that later on. Do something else. All right. Oh, and somebody just made Robert Burnett very sad. Saw Amadeus for the first time. Like, first time? One of the greatest movies ever made? That's something I probably, if I can get on there next time, talking Amadeus. Because that was like some of the stories that they're in the extras where when they're in Prague, because they couldn't really shoot in Venice because Venice has been cleaned with an inch of its life, and they wanted something a little more lived in, look more of the period. And Prague was the beneficiary of basically benign communist neglect. It looked dirty and run down. Everything was period, similar to the thing, but it wasn't all prettied up. So it looked normal and lived in. So they're shooting in Prague, which at the time Czechoslovakia. But they were there over the 4th of July, and as kind of a nice gesture to the American cast and crew, one point they're in the opera house, and the orchestra starts stirring up the Star Spangled Banner, and they got a choir there, and and it's kind of funny. It's like Milos Forman talking about it was hilarious because various members of the extras stood up, started singing along to the Star Spangled Banner, and the ones who you could pick out who were the secret police, because they were the ones who weren't standing up and were looking all shocked and went, whoa, it's a, busted. So it was just the funniest thing, in his career watching this happen. That's a movie I should rewatch one of these days. I mean, there's really not a lot. No, Salieri did not try to kill Mozart. Okay, there really wasn't that much of a rivalry there. Okay, other than just musically. As opposed to Immortal Beloved, where it's like, yeah, there's probably a little more meat on the bone on that story about why Beethoven was doing what he did for the sake of his nephew. Nobody fights that hard for a nephew. Okay. But that one is like the whole when leading up to the Ode to Joy. It's like that is like, oh my god. Because also this there's Ullman's portrayal of Beethoven. Yeah, the 4K just dropped, and that's what started the thing. I'm not bothering with 4K. A regular Blu-ray is fine, and I'm not going to get a whole new player and all that stuff, a TV set. Hell, I can't even get the stuff I've got right now because I can, until I can get that front, the living room cleared out so I can put a couch in. There's no point. But Blu-ray is fine. It's like, in fact, some of the older movies, I kind of prefer the film grain. I don't need to see it look like it's looking through a window. But also, it's like, maybe a Blu-ray, but Blu-ray of them, if it has more extras, great. If it's just going to be transported to the same thing, I've got that on DVD. I'm fine. I'll tell you one thing, and what review videos though? Channel Awesome, Nostalgia Critic, their take on Amadeus. No, wait, actually, strike that. It wasn't, it was a review of Rocky and Bullwinkle. But they do it in the form of the Salieri bits of Amadeus. Yeah. Where Doug is doing the Salieri bit, and it's a review of Rocky and Bullwinkle. That was other stuff they do. God, I would. On the one hand, it'd be fun to hook up with those guys, but like, what would I be bringing to the table on that? I mean, look at this. I'm lucky to be holding on as it is right now. So I was like, at least you're making good money. I wish. If I get paid more than once a year on channel, it's a banner year. That's kind of where it's like, trying to build things up and get things on a regular basis. I should have been done some content up, 2 days ago, but now it's like, okay, fine. Enough screwing around. I should do something. Also waiting for more stuff to show up. So like instead of these 2 stories I got, let's see anything else shut up in the meantime. I should throw a link to Rob Burnett anyway. It's like, you're working on Twitter. You got a couple minutes? No. The multi-region is enough in advance right there, so I can get any DVD on the planet. I'd be happy. You never know. Okay. I mean, he was messing around on Twitter, and he's probably not actually working. So, and it was also late. So, come on. Come on, damn it. The internet has been screwed today. Come on, damn it. There we go. That's sent. So we may just have one for the ages. Okay. No, I did a little track, running around. I'm trying to kill off physical media, make sure, you have to download it, and then of course we can always yank it when you feel like it. No. Give me a disc. I had to go do a little bit of running around to find a Blu-ray of, I think I actually had to go to Amazon to get a Blu-ray copy of the director's edition of Star Trek Motion Picture. The finally finished version of Star Trek the Motion Picture. And Paramount has finally acknowledged it as the finished version and has now relegated the theatrical cut as just, no, that's not the final version. That was the rough cut. It's kind of, nothing ventured, nothing gained. So, come on. It's after 9 o'clock in California. You never know. Okay. Meanwhile, I'm trying to email the call up here so I can see what's come on. Yes, I have set it to start doing mid-rolls, okay? That's part of how I get paid, by people seeing ads. Okay. It's a necessary evil. This is commercial television, even on a small scale. Come on. I'm going to stop. He'll show up. If he shows up, he shows up. Okay. I'm concerned this stupid email is going to finally come up. Live TV, folks. Gotta love it. Okay, here we go. Now it's progress. Not that there's anything really here. Okay, anything I need to save for later? Not really. So, mark them all as red. Done. Okay. Never mind. There we go. Check the spam folder while I'm at it. And clear all that out. Okay. Yeah, well, that's the whole. Something to keep in mind is the goal was not a Blu-ray release, or the goal was they had this thing up to the point where they could put it back in theaters if they so choose. And I would hope they would have in a couple, few years, it'll be the 50th anniversary of that movie. And it would be very nice to have it in theaters. Yeah, so let's drag that one out. But the thing is, the DVD version, that was really more of a proof of concept. They knew it wasn't done up to Blu-ray level at that point. It was just doing to just get the idea. This is what we had in mind. This is a rough approximation of what you would have seen if we had a chance to do a test screening and go back and fix things. Vulcan would have looked like Vulcan. Okay. Little things like that. Okay, the character moments would have been put back in once we got a response and say, yeah, where's the character moment? Yeah, these guys are kind of flat. The one thing I regret is that they did not put in Nimoy's little ad lib at the end, where the question is, we name it back on Vulcan in Forward Days with the Spock, and then the script had said, my task on Vulcan is complete. Well, the ad lib that Nimoy came up with, and they shot it a few times, scripted and his idea, was, not necessary, Mr. Scott. If Dr. McCoy is a man on board, then my presence here is essential. But they felt it was a bit, they felt it was a bit, a little too jokey. It's like, no, they needed some joking. Okay, especially that movie. They needed the old humor back in the day. And it could be argued that, the exchange just immediately before that, there's some foolish emotions. Yes, unfortunately, I'll have to deal with those as well. That's enough. But I was hoping they at least stick it in the extras, in a deleted scene, because they had multiple takes of it. They shot it a few times with that line. And I did, David Fine, who was Bob Weiss's assistant and shepherding the final process after Weiss had passed on. I did send him a tweet saying, "Hey, if you could stick this line, it'd be great." And he liked the tweet, but apparently wasn't enough. Yeah, let me cut to the chase here on that one. Star Trek IV, Voyage Home. The scene in the hospital where Jillian is faking being a patient, and Kirk and McCoy, then the two doctors, and they're talking about how there was almost a fist fight between these two other doctors saw and one left. The Noah Wiley type, the blonde with that was Tom Muston, and he'd mainly been working as a news anchor out here in County. In fact, he still is on local Denver news station. He was on Channel 4 for a long time. I think he's now on Channel 7. I mainly found him because when I was doing work on the concordance and going through a bunch of actually because Bijo sent me a whole bunch of flop, the 3.5-inch discs to go. I was going through them, and mainly I was tracking it because uh, Janet Weedland from the Go Go's, she had a background bit part as one of the screen, on-screen thing talking about shipped in distress. Her name was spelled 2 different ways, so I wanted to verify which one was which. And in doing that, Tom Mustin. Okay, and searching for if that's him, I know what scene to check out. And sure enough, we looked it up. Yep, it was him. Very distinctive voice. What? Explain the story. What's your problem? Yeah. But sometime later, Steph emailed him and yeah, that was it. And he had some interesting Shatner stories apparently. But Nimoy saw him in a local. What? Hey, Jane Whelan. Okay, so what? No, long it's been since I've really done any kind of digging on the Go-Go's. Come on. All right. Lucky I got that close. All right. So Jane Whelan. Yeah, if you look for her, she's in the background thing with the Astro Boy haircut and talking about, reading lines about ship in distress or whatever, But, okay. So let's see, what else we got here? It's been rather cold here lately, but, today, like, the high was 20. And I had to take trash out. But any actual questions here that don't involve Jewish conspiracies or Illuminati or whatever, feel free to speak up. Let's see. Something I meant to do here. Yep, and there's a look at your hoops here. I did offer. Let's see what happens with that. Oh, I doubt it because I know she is working, but you never know. Stranger things have happened. But let's see what the hell we got here. I got so many ships here in various states of completion or repair. Yeah, and any questions from the audience here, I'd appreciate. Instead of just me monologuing about whatever happens to pop into my head. Did get a little, exchange going with one guy, decided to try and talk me to task on the other main subject of repeated discussion on the channel, which is, as I point, is not really for mass consumption. It's a very special interest and really with an audience of one in mind. It's like, well, you're not doing, you're not presentable. Fuck you, presentable. I do what I do, okay? And I'm not worried about trying to get a mass thing. I'm just trying to get this one person to wake the fuck up. pull her head out of her ass and realize the world is turning against you, you better get ahead of this, okay? Or it's going to get a lot worse when you finally does slap you upside the head and realize it. Because I also guarantee you, your therapist will be getting on the bandwagon out of town ahead of you, cover their own asses. Washington is not immune. Washington State is not immune for the coming wave. But that's as far as I'm going on that one. So again, I'm not really expecting much from that one because she. Let me take a look here. Hold on. One, you get over here so I'm not confusing myself. See if there's some weird thing. Not sure Rob is not actually live. Nope, doesn't appear to be. Did a live yesterday talking about what Elon Musk is doing through there. Like, I think it's probably, I'm just going to lay off of that one. Because that one requires that's advanced game theory, really. What's going on for that one? Whoops. Hey, when a screen does that. All right. But someone's pointing out the way the court cases are going, it's like, you think Trump doesn't know what he's doing? He has had 5 years to plan this shit out, okay? You know exactly what to do. So he's a very good authority of what he can and cannot do. They're not going to sucker him in, okay? Like, now it really is 4D chess. All right. I was thinking possibly morphing this into a Fortnite stream, but considering the fight I took just to get this stream up, I don't think I'm going to risk that. Not on a stream. No. And so far, nobody from the group chat has even nibbled at this. All right, there we go. I also don't want to bail on singing. Hey, I was talking to stream. You already snugged off. Like, no. Let's see. I am trying to engage on a bit of a quest. As part of my motto of "It's never too late to have a happy childhood," I'm going to try and replace my Major Matt Mason figure from back in the day. Hopefully without bankrupting myself, because those things, unfortunately, are going for big bucks, even the damaged ones. The ones that look in worse shape than my old one was. I mean, I'm seeing ones with the broken wires and the paint's all worn off, so it looks like they went to the Apollo 1 fire. They're so blackened up. It's like, they're going like $60. You high? It's going to be a long-term thing. I'm on the same order of that Batman paint by number set Batman. That took me a bunch of years, just look on eBay. When I finally got a bug on my, I was like, hey, I think it's time I resolve this issue and find the thing. Let's see. New trailer, teaser trailers dropped for the new season of Fortnite. A lawless one. I'm waiting for some about, because mostly there's going to be a James Bond collab coming up in that. And I think the general theory is going to be like the Bond skin will have the style options will be different Bonds. You want to do Sean Connery, Roger Moore, Daniel Craig, Brosnan, Lasmy, change the faces around. And the car, the DB5, and maybe a couple other ones. A couple other Astons in there. But that would be one to definitely, yes, must have. Shut up and take my money. Yeah. This is the Midnight Edge point out some idiot in Dubai is trying to get his hands on the James Bond name to use as part of a luxury resort that he's got these little, because what started doing is these little artificial islands and little bay there, and they're building things up. Well, like this guy might want to rethink his investment, because those islands are sinking back into the bay for which they came, and the materials are such that they're now toxic once that sand goes in there. They're absorbing all the crap they've used to build these resorts. So this is probably not a bright idea in the first place. Never mind trying to get the James Bond name for it. Kind of goes the whole thing of like, we're giving Bedouin sheep herders millions of dollars for stuff that was just under the ground they really had no control over. There's a bit of a flaw in that theory, We got 12 people. The last time we had this many people just on the stream for me, I was being chewed up by Mary and her crew for trying to eat big. So, well, this is a nice change of pace. It was nice to get some questions from the audience. So I don't necessarily want to be just background noise. I want to get some interaction here. That's why I do this. And the questions don't have to be about Star Trek. They can be any topic you can think of. Of course, have the option to say, I don't know, I'll move on. But you never know unless you try. So let's get some stuff going back here. Let's see. Hopefully, with some tax returns, besides having to buy a car, I've already figured the police auction would be the best bet to get something cheap, but still workable. Because if I just go to the general market, it's like $500 ain't gonna buy me squat. But I should be able to get something that actually at least work. And I'm thinking the $500 would be good, because then I can do that on the state and on the federal return. All right, well, let's go and take this and come up. Try that again. Here we go. New Section 31 movie. One, I haven't seen it. I'm not going to see it. Steph saw it. She's still traumatized by it. But basically, nobody was asking for this, really. This was Alex Kurtzman's little fever dream. Oh, I want to do a section, because he wanted to do kind of a Mission Impossible thing. He wants to do anything but standard Star Trek. He wants to translate into something else, like turn it into like Game of Thrones or something else. But just do Star Trek, you fuckhead. Okay. There's already a Game of Thrones. There's already Mission Impossible. Just do Star Trek. Show you can prove you can do Star Trek first before you start doing something else. But Kurtzman has never understood the reasoning, the whole rationale behind sex. It's like, no, Section 31 is not the equivalent of the CIA. The CIA is a very publicly known organization. Their headquarters in Langley, Virginia is big as day. Most of the people there, they got CIA on their license plates. Not everything they do is, ultra top secret. Section 31 officially doesn't exist. They're like MI6 during the war. You ask someone about what's MI6, there's no such thing as MI6. It went as far as MI5, and that's it. So now they totally misrepresent, but they got their own badges. They got ships. No. The way I see it, Section 31 didn't own anything except maybe little bits of tech here and there that they would sneak in here and there. But otherwise, why would you need your own? Why would you need own ships that can be traced down? You hop around on somebody else's ship. You come in disguised as a crew member from somewhere else, but you don't get anything because it's really more of a Mission Impossible thing than anything else. As in, if you get caught, we'll disavow we even know you. Which kind of shows he was probably doing. He'd never even watched Mission Impossible either. That's the whole thing. They sneak in, they sneak out, and they their whole tech is whatever they can carry in or find there. They pretty much live off the land type of thing. Oh yeah, Michelle. Jamie Lee Curtis was definitely a favorite of Michelle Yeoh. That was it. Yeah, it's things that. Like, it's also a matter how much can you trust Sloan. Okay. All we ever saw really of Section 31 during that was Sloan and a couple of his boys. And the words of Jojo Krakow, maybe there ain't no more. Okay. And really, it's kind of a Sun Tzu thing. If you have no discernible shape, then there's no defense that can be raised against you. And you can go anywhere. Favorite Class M planet? Probably the one I'm on right now. Okay. That's where my stuff is. No. Yeah, and anything in the system requires heavy terraforming first. That would be fun. You could spend quite a tail just terraforming. Mars would be a piece of cake terraforming wise. You just got to build up the atmosphere. And probably help if you could induce some, more of a spin on the magnetic core, and the core. But the main thing is just you got to build up the atmosphere enough so that it can build up an ozone layer, so you can get some, one enough for a breathable atmosphere, but also thick enough that it would have an ozone layer formed up to screen out ultraviolet radiation. Because right now there's not enough there. Venus, though, that one you gotta play some tricks with. Because it was Starlog magazine a long time ago, ancient times. I think it was maybe about Isaac Asimov, but it's like terraforming Venus. It can be done. Again, we don't have that technology. We don't have to invent the technology. That's part of why we do the stuff of going to Mars and going to the moon. So you develop the technology on the way. Most of what we take for granted today was developed directly because of Apollo and the space program back in the 60s, because they had to invent this stuff in order to accomplish what they do. And that's why we have spin. That's why NASA is the only government agency to really have a net gain of stuff. It's not a drain. It actually produces stuff that has a spin-off. Genesis, that's kind of typical Star Trek comic book science. That you accept it because it's the MacGuffin that makes everything work. But it's not really crucial to anything. It's the fact that Khan wants it. It's important, and if he sets it off, something bad's going to happen. The rest of it's details. But as far as just conventional terraforming of Venus, let's say, Like I said, Mars would be a piece of cake. You could just scatter it with plants, and that would do most of the work right there. But Venus, that one you got to do some stuff. For one thing, you got to hit it with, let's say this, pelting it with asteroids at just the right angle to induce more of an axial spin. Because right now it is tidally locked with the sun. So it's like the moon with us and the moon. Its rotational period is the same as its orbital period. So it's one face is always facing us. And Venus is the same way with the sun. It's always one side facing the sun. You got to induce a spin. And once you do that, get it up to approximately a 24-hour period, it'll start shedding a lot of that excess atmosphere. And a lot of it, the toxic stuff will bleed off or whatever. And then once you get it down to close to like one atmosphere, roughly one atmosphere, one Earth atmosphere, and you get it close to a 24-hour period, then you got something to work with. Because then you can start working on doing something about the high concentration of sulfuric acid and stuff, but a lot of it's probably going to be taken care of just into the ground. And if you also start redirecting these comets that come in occasionally to start impacting on Venus, they introduce some more water. I think comets are mostly water ice. You start getting that going. And it would probably be a little longer and certainly a little more challenging, but you would have something to show for it. Because you'd have roughly the same size as Earth with, same gravity. If you can get it to a breathable atmosphere and something. And I think maybe them really get ambitious and redirect and get some of the larger asteroids, and then maybe a Ceres or something. Because we may find out that in order to get that thing going, it needs a moon to help maintain the spin. Because I think it's something, part of why we are as habitable is because we have the moon out there, and it keeps the orbit, it keeps the axial spin going, right? And get some tidal force and everything, so. And there's some sizable asteroids out there that are nice and moon size. I think Ceres is actually larger than them. It's like they'll be bordered on creating a double planet system there, but you can have all kinds of fun there. That's one of those cases where it's like, okay, you start the process, and about 100 years, Ceres will enter Venusian orbit and then settle into the, And I think probably the best thing would be to maintain, because right now, Venus, what rotation it does have is the opposite of Earth. I would stick with that. Just keep it going, just speed it up. Yeah, it's, and this is nothing really earth-shattering technology-wise. It's just, redirecting, certain asteroids, just to hit Venus at a certain angle, so you just put a little English on it and get it spinning. Ooh. All right. Some more karaoke stuff has come up. Of course, why I'm looking at Twitter, I don't know. Is that a habit? Ooh. That's a dig. Okay. What was I going? YouTube. All right. So one of the channels, Sarah McLachlan Angel, has come up. No, I will never be attempting to sing any Sarah McLachlan song. during karaoke night. However, I do put them in the playlists. I think that'd be 90s for the sake of others who can sing in that general range. It's like, hey, I've got one here. Now, I've never been big on stepping out. Now, it could be fun. I might just have to bring it down a few octaves. But, well, yeah, Johnny Cash. I think it's, who it was. I mean, it may have been Rich Little or someone. Johnny Cash even talks off tune. Hello, my name is Johnny Cash. Just but also brings up my whole thing about with Glenn Campbell is again why the imitation would go. Hi, I'm Glenn Campbell. And Glenn Campbell himself said, he wanted to come out the hi, I'm, with Johnny Cash. I'm Johnny Cash. And he wanted to do sort of thing. But with Glenn's case, the crowds were so loud, and he was so nervous being. They came out. Hi, I'm Glenn Campbell. So, no. And I do have quite a few Glenn Campbell tunes, locked away. Older stuff, though, Some of I think that's some fun. Galveston, Those who have not been to Galveston is very nice. It's like right there on the coast. It's right, Yes, I'd stay out of that during storm season because they had a really bad one back in the 20s. But no, I was with my ex down there. I was when we were still together with her and her mom, and went in this trip. Went on down the see Galveston. Like we're here. Let's look around. Come on. I don't think. I don't think I went near where the USS Texas was berthed. I only went to San Jacinto. Of course, it's not there now. It's been we were busy doing a restoration. Not quite a refit, but it's the restoration. So that poor boat was in trouble. But that's all patched up now and floating nicely. And... Yo, Daniel. Okay. I don't know. One day I might put together a karaoke thing. It's not going to be just me though. I'm not going to be the only one up here looking like an idiot. There's some people, some other people out here to strangle some tunes. So I think I tortured my wife enough last night going through a few. So. Even got one for Alice's restaurant. I think we're gonna do that one and make sure the other participants open up their mics. Says, okay, there's your chance for you to sing along here. So everyone that comes around on the guitar again. And of course, when everyone chimes in, there are different signal lags here and there. It's like, well, that was horrible. But yeah, I think I was. I think it was a column David Gerald wrote for Starlog one time. He had a regular column, and he discussed terraforming Mars. thing, and getting oceans on it. Would not be horribly deep oceans here. It'd be enough you don't want to go swimming in it, but for a long period. But it wouldn't be catastrophic. It would decent decent sea levels, but not ridiculous. So you could have a seagoing culture there. It would be, relatively speaking, kind of shallow. But of course, Professor Ranting brings up, what the face on Mars? That wasn't a face. That was when they got there with higher resolution cameras, it was a rock outcropping, and the pictures they saw was just because the shadows were hitting it right. It looked like a face. Okay, so 4 million asteroids equal to the one that wiped out well, there's nothing to wipe out on Mars. So there's no worry about shut up, you. No, there's no worry about wiping out any life forms on there. The conditions are such there's no way to form life. The temperature and the pressures are such nothing would form, DNA wise. You can't even get microbes to grow there. So it's a totally toxic environment. And I think they figured the asteroid that took out the dinosaurs, I don't know, maybe half a mile across. It wasn't, you'd think it's not that big. It was just the kinetic energy was such a, I think it impacted right around the Yucatan and just, And there are bigger asteroids to choose from out there. So, But I think what we're, a combination of one, you start pelting it with the asteroids to get that spin going, because it'd be progressive. The more you hit it, the faster it start going. So you wouldn't have to necessarily, So the figure would change with each hit of how much more force you would need to get it going. Because once you get things started, and then once you get in, you're just accelerating and you're already moving. So I think it wouldn't be necessarily the same figure going on there. Well, we have something called the asteroid belt with lots of asteroids out there. And I'm figuring it's like we could combine a few things here, because there's also a thing about asteroid mining, getting a lot of the rare earths that are up there. Once you're through with that, why not put the remaining hunts to good use and throw it at Venus? So if someone's got Elon Musk here, hey, let's put this on the SpaceX Lodger here. Things to do, things to put that to thing. So they can think about it for a second. Once you got that first one going, and so you'd have to, then you're dealing with how much. Again, you got this, how it's turning now. You hit it, boom. All right. How much more to get it going? That number's now changed. So how much more do you need? And then it's going to be a progressive scale of how much force you need to get to induce a spin there, and it would change with every hit. Well, again, you make sure you're not going to cross Earth orbit. Okay, you can work these things out. You can plot out orbits for thousands of years where each planet's going to be at a certain time. It's kind of how we got to the moon. Okay. How these probes are able to get to these planets in the first place. We know where they're going to be at a certain time at one angle to hit them at. What where the slingshot from. So it's not like oh, there it is. Whoops, Mars got in the way. No, So unless something interferes with the asteroid on the way, it's like once you calculate the thing, get its moment, it's automatic at that point. And unless the Soviets want to be stupid and launch a missile at it and just throw it off, that And then it'd be a case of, do you really want to waste a multi-billion ruble missile and a nuclear weapon just to make us look bad? Really? There's easier ways to do that. So yeah, this would be thinking you run the numbers 3 or 4 times to make sure you're not mistaking miles for kilometers again, and get that going. And so, boom, okay, let gravity do the rest. And again, if you're especially doing a lot of this stuff, the times when Mars and Venus are not in line with each other, then that really shouldn't be a problem. Yeah, I think a combination though, just both booting it here and there, and also introducing its own satellite to that would because I think what that would do is keep that spin and maybe help get that spin going and keep it going. And also maybe have some tidal effect on the atmosphere or whatever, and whatever condenses. It'd be a very comprehensive thing here, because I think you get the axial spin going, bring a moon in, and also start seeding the clouds with some alkali stuff to neutralize the acids. I'm not sure if it could be any kind of a real science fiction story material here, but it's nice to think about. I think it's certainly a pretty good foundation for one. You're part of the operation to terraform Venus, and something goes horribly wrong. Let's see. Anyone else? Anything going on here? Or questions or observations? Let's see. Is anybody? There's some wild chance Amaranth showing up. You want to say hi? I doubt it, because you make more money somewhere else, doing this. But this is like you're really bored. So, No, she posted a thing on Twitter the X, whatever you want to call it, about. I'll get to that in a second. Okay, but how the team that developed Marvel Rivals has been kind of shut down by the parent company. It's like a lot of job openings in Seattle now. It's like that's where they're headquartered. And this is one of the most successful game launches of all time, and they just cut them out from underneath them. It's like, what the hell? I said, well, U.S. game companies need to step up the thing so they're not at the mercy of having to go to the Chinese in order to get things going, or Japanese, or wherever this company's from. I think it's Japanese. And it got some good response on that. I was like, it's because remember, part of Kate's appeal with the Amaranth thing is she's also a gamer. Okay, it's not all just showing her goodies on screen. It's also she's a gamer chick too. All right, as for TNG and DS9, all right, this kind of goes into the whole development of the thing. It's like, because Next Generation was Roddenberry proving to Paramount that he still got it, that he could still produce a show and not necessarily be wholly dependent on the original show. That he could take the thing and make something original out of it. And so, but the next gen really is structurally is not much different than in fact the writer's Bible is almost cut and paste, mostly from the original. There's a few updates here and there in character descriptions. DS9, on the other hand, again, DS9 was running the same time as next gen, and part of the edict coming down like from Brandon Tartikoff, because he was head of Paramount at the time, or NBC, head of Paramount, is something different. So it's like another show on another ship. No, that's not going to be. But let's flip it on its head. And again, remember, at this point, Roddenberry is still alive and involved. So I'm like, oh, it's just Michael Piller and Rick Berman. No, Roddenberry was involved in the early stages of DS9. He had his input. He knew they were going through it, and he wanted to make sure he got his 2 cents worth. I think he didn't have much time left. He was fading pretty quick, but he did make his points in there of what to do. I think the Bajorans, their whole attitude was like, I think that's where a lot of his actual beliefs in the supernatural and religious things come into it, because he wasn't an ardent atheist. What he was anti-organized religion. I thought that was a little crap. But he was also not a big old atheist either. He said, there's something going on out here we don't understand. And religion is our way of trying to figure it out and make sense of it. But we got no greater sense of knowing that than a goldfish knows that the guy who changes the water isn't God. So, but again, Berman, I think, summed it up with if Star Trek was wagon train to the stars, then DS9 is the rifleman in space. Where you're there, this is your old town, the promenade is Main Street, Quarks is the saloon, Odo is the local sheriff, Cisco's the mayor, whatever, or just the local, whatever. There's still a lot of that old Western mentality going into setting it up, and it's just basic. That's your setting. These are the roles your principal characters fill. Got to translate, equate DS9 to Gunsmoke, which would delight Gene Roddenberry, knowing thinking probably what he was latched on thinking of. You got to have the town doctor, the saloon keeper, the sheriff, and whatever, that already introduced the Bajorans back when Gene was still a little more involved there. He was handing it off to Michael Pell at that point. He was still a little more in the thing, and he wanted the Bajorans to sort of serve as analogs to various refugee cultures, not just the Palestinians, but Armenians, any race that had been driven out of their own homeland or been oppressed and wanted to have their own homeland back, type of thing. Or at least you could also equate to the Israelis, because things like Bejor was under occupation, and then finally they left, and the Israelis come back and they finally have their own homeland again, and they're not going to go. Again, their value was never again. That was the Bajorans thing, and never again. So but it's a rough analog. Again, that's part of the thing of what difference between Star Trek back in the day and Star Trek now. Because Star Trek back in the day looked at the overall morality of the issue, people being thrown out of their own land by some big bad, or just thoughtless bigger power, and not reflective of the issue of the day. Because the plight of the Bajorans you can apply to similar things all throughout history. Like I said, the Palestinians recited in the pitch when they're talking about, like Richard Arnold comes in and say, this is coming up for this season. We got these people called the Bajorans. This is the character Ensign Rowe. And they're kind of meant to represent like the Palestinians and other people who have been displaced. But that was just, you talk about it in the day in order so we understand it. But they were not a direct analogy. Kind of. Although that's one specific story. In which case, the DS9 story, A Man Alone, that's their high noon. in history, like I said, the Armenians or other, any other people that have been driven out or subjugated by some bigger power taking over. And you could do it from there. And Kira's the former freedom fighter, still got a chip on her shoulder. It takes a while to decompress on that. Again, I think that's also a thing of where, because again, they couldn't get Roe. Michelle Forbes didn't want to be tied down to a series at this point. She had movie stuff going on. So you couldn't, because that was the original plan, was to, transfer Ensign Rowe over to DS9. It's like, no, don't want to do that. She did come back later. That's when the whole story where she joins the Maquis. But I think, Rosetta hated Ensign Rowe. I fell in love with Ensign Rowe from the first second I saw her. Okay. So I like that. Like that attitude. I suppose you want The Office. Well, I was going to say hello first and then take The Office. But Kira's whole thing to that first episode, it's like just the balls on that woman. Okay. And also just interviews with her about, because Nana Visitor she's a dancer. She's from Broadway. She staged. So she wanted, fighting there to want to break into a dance routine, but her attitude was like, no, but Kira, I'm pretty sure, would have 2 left feet, so she didn't push for it. She knew it wouldn't be right for the character. It's like, that's it. I love her. I liked it because they figured they're looking at what is best for the character, and Avery Brooks is sort of the same thing. In the interviews, it's like something he gets it. He gets what Star Trek is all about, of what you're trying to achieve here. I think about just the general overall attitude. I forget the exact quote, but it's like, yeah, he's got it. Well, again, Outline was High Noon. That was High Noon in space. It's like, again, Connery's character, he was on his own. You had a couple of, maybe the station doctor helping out here, but mostly he was on his own. Okay. And I imagine that's probably how it was pitched. Yeah, it's kind of like High Noon. It's like, okay, it's something. It's a pitch line, something you can hang your hat on. Okay, yeah, and I understand it. That's kind of what Again, the whole thing with wagon train to the stars. I wasn't trying to say it's a way for the and it's called an elevator pitch. We have only from the time you get on to when the guy you're pitching to gets to his floor. You got to pitch your idea. Your idea. And Wagon Train to the Stars is like something, okay, this sort of thing, where you got regular characters, but you have a lot of guest stars in and out, and you're going from place to place with these people. That's the general idea. But also at the time, that Wagon Train was also one of the well-regarded shows on television. So it was like, this is not going to be some cheap little sci-fi thing. This is going to be a quality show. We're going to get big names as guest stars. So it was more than just, the general premise. I was also saying that this is also going to be, good stuff. But it was, and it also goes to, why the Cage didn't sell, because the Cage really didn't deliver on that type of premise. It was good. That wasn't, they were impressed when they saw it. It wasn't what they asked for, though. That's the thing. And that's, I'm gonna get this. I'm not hearing anything anyway. When someone shows up, put them back on. But what Roddenberry produced was something more akin to like a Twilight Zone or Outer Limits thing, where they capture this guy and they're doing all these weird things to try and basically get him aroused. And they're just in this Earth chick they've got for him. It's like, this is, but it was also with a conversation between, I think it was Mort Warner and Herb Solo. Saying, okay, how do you think? What do you think, guys? Something, well, it's like, frankly, Herb, we owe you an apology because we picked the hardest script they had there. We weren't sure you could do it, but you did it. Okay. So but you didn't quite deliver what we wanted. So we're not quite sure what to do here. But then that's when Herb, well, how about you do a second pilot? Okay, great. That's how much thought it was put. It wasn't a big earth-shattering thing to do a second pilot. So sorry, Bob Justman, it wasn't unprecedented. It wasn't, it was getting more and more unusual as the years went on, but it wasn't that unusual then. In fact, it was actually happening at the same time. Desilu was doing a second pilot for a sitcom for NBC. So not only was it not that unusual, it wasn't even unusual at the time at that studio. In the same variety piece where they, it was like paragraph 4 of a thing of what's going on. Oh, and by the way, Desilu's doing a couple of, redoing a couple of pilots for NBC. They're redoing Star Trek with Shatner this time, and they're doing that, another take of that time travel thing. It won't just spell Cisco. Do it in all caps. You know. But yeah, it's like, when they hired Avery Brooks, they did kind of make him grow his hair out and shave the goatee, because they wanted it wasn't so much they needed something more acceptable to the general public. That wasn't it. No, what it was they wanted something visually different than Hawk, because he was coming right off of Spencer for Hire and A Man Called Hawk. So it's like, so he during the show he had the hair growing out there, but once the show after, hey, shave the head off. He hated it there. And it's basically when they started, okay, let's loosen the reins a bit and let the actors have a little more say over what the characters do. That's when the goatee grew back. And then next when you bring in the Defiant, and Cisco's got his head shaved. Like, that's the point where now Avery Brooks is getting a lot more say over his character and how it's written out there. And that's when he really started to come alive. It wasn't so much, he was doing good stuff with what they gave him, but now it's like, okay, now he can really inhabit the character. He's not having to face this irritating thing of this head of hair he doesn't want. But he also saw, when he a lot more attitude. It's because he had a burr in his backside wanting to get back at them, no reason he got the Defiant in the first place, because this is a ship with some teeth. Overpowered at the wazoo, but it's like, Chief, get her under control, because we don't want her shaken apart. Okay, but you get something about the size of a Constitution class primary hull with the firepower of a Galaxy class ship, so and a warp drive to match. So crammed in a very small package. I need to get a 1000 Defiant, so I can start doing 1-to-1 comparisons there. I also need to dig up. I got a 1000 Voyager somewhere back here, but it's. Need to get all that back together, because we had a few avalanches at the wrong time and parts are scattered. So that's also why I can't do a vacuum in here, because I don't want to lose the pieces, especially over there, because there's pieces of the little itty bitty disco pricing. I think they're kind of buried in the carpet. I think once I get the kitchen back under control, I think I'm going to attack this place here, because this is getting stupid. Trying to get around in here. But I also was supposed to move this table, because we're supposed to have access to the window here, and this drawing table is in the wrong spot, so I'm going to have to clean this place up somewhere so I can actually start rearranging things. I have to rethink how I got this place laid out. Yeah, I suppose. We've been at it for about an hour and a half. It's a good round. Nobody I invited is coming on. That makes me sad. Okay. So, okay. Oh, something I keep forgetting to put up here. because links in the description. The Patreon, again, I'm trying to do more stuff for the Patreon now. I might get toward just doing premieres on that. I don't want to do it exclusive, but I think I might, do stuff on there before we're going to over here. But I got to get into the habit of it because I've been ignoring that page, that thing for so long. It's like, oh, I still got it. But now it's actually getting to the point where we can start paying on a regular basis too. We can start getting these, and amongst the links on there, Subscribe Star. That's like within 25 cents of at least being able to pay out. That would be nice, it's like, to get somebody to chime in that one. That was a big thing when Patreon started doing its weird thing. Subscribe Star came on. Yeah, that's right. And then they came on. It's like I think less than a quarter away from paying out $50. It's like, come on, somebody sign up here. And other ones there, but the main thing is the Patreon. And the PayPal link especially, that's direct to me. Nobody takes any bites out of that, But I'm trying to get this thing into a going thing, so at least, get it paying out on a regular basis here. Because right now, YouTube through Google AdSense only pays out once you get over $100 racked up. And the rate this channel goes is like that's once a year. That's why, a lot of times the small channels, you're just not enough views coming in to generate that much. So like you got to, why the push? Come on, like, share, subscribe, get more people there, because that brings in the number, the better percentage, and they promote your channels more if you got a bigger audience, subscriber base. But it's the number of views watching, and that racks up, and then so things are picking up a little bit. I think we're now at, the subscription, number of subscribers was at 1379. It's dropped back one, but like that's a normal YouTube thing. They will call out inactive accounts or whatever, or people just get pissed off and just walk off. But I think mostly YouTube just killing off what it thinks is a dead account. So if you're subscribing, you might want to double check, make sure you still are. And if you're not, why aren't you? Come on, it's free. Just subscribe. Throw a brother a solid here. Come on. All right. But with that, I think we'll go ahead and wrap it now. So any other questions, go ahead and throw them in the comment section. PayPal, the super chats are also active. So people keep forgetting about that too. So super chats, contributions to links down below. Like, share, subscribe, yada, yada, yada. And we'll talk at